The Old Testament story ends with Israel in exile. It seems that God's save the world through Israel plan has failed. They have not been the nucleus and beginning of the new humanity, but have remained part of the old humanity. But they cling to the prophetic promise. God will return to them in glory and power. He will gather them together, forgive them, and renew them, and then incorporate the nations and the whole creation into His restoring work. This hope is fanned from a flame into a raging inferno as the Jews wait for this prophetic promise to be fulfilled. The Jews are a people living in a story that is waiting for an ending, and that ending comes in the most unexpected way. Act 4, the coming of the King, restoration accomplished. As the curtain rises on the next act, the announcement is made that the promise is being fulfilled, astonishingly, in Jesus. He is God Himself, returning to gather His people and to restore God's rule over the creation. Jesus gathers the lost sheep of Israel, and through His teaching begins to form them into the people of God and the new humanity, who will fulfill their calling. He makes known the power of God's salvation to heal in His mighty acts and explains the coming of the kingdom in His parables. But the climactic moment of His work is His death on the cross and His resurrection from the dead. In these two events, we come to the very center and climax of all of cosmic history. In His death, He battles and defeats all the evil powers of the world, taking upon Himself the sin and idolatry and satanic power and death that plagues humanity. And in His resurrection, He inaugurates His kingdom in the new creation and invites His followers to join Him. He's exalted to the right hand of God to rule history and to guide it to its final consummation. And He pours out His Spirit that His newly gathered and formed community might taste of the powers of the coming kingdom, even in the middle of history. As the curtain falls on Act 4, we are in anticipation of how God will use this gathered, newly formed people to gather in the nations. Act 5, spreading the news of the King, the mission of the church. The Gospels end with the sending of a people, and the book of Acts tells us how the nations are to be gathered in. He sends His people to live among all the nations of the earth, making known the good news in their lives that embody the kingdom, making the good news known in their deeds that demonstrate the kingdom, and making the good news known in their words that announce the kingdom. The mission of this people is to spread the good news to the ends of the earth, beginning where they live. All peoples are to be summoned to bow the knee before this King and this Lord, and to participate in His healing and renewing work of the whole creation. We are invited to continue this story that the early church has begun, and to take our place in making the good news known in our place and to the ends of the earth. And this story continues. The curtain has not yet come down. A new era has opened up to make the good news of the kingdom known to the ends of the earth. And then the end will come. Act 6, the return of the King. Restoration completed. The good news will reach its goal when Jesus returns again. He will return as the triumphant King, and His rule will be completed in the whole earth. We will not go to heaven to be with God, but God Himself will come to dwell with us here. God will raise all humanity from the dead, and God's judgment will follow. Sadly, some will be banished from God's restored creation, but His people will enter into the resurrection life of God's new creation. God's original purposes in Genesis will be fulfilled. The question arises, why is this so important, even urgent, to read the Bible as one story? We'll address this in the next video.